and welcome to the Autocar Show. Now, I'm pretty excited about what I'm going to test drive today, and I know a lot of you have been waiting for this review because it's the first time an Indian manufacturer is producing a global SUV. Yes, I'm talking about the M&M XUV 500. I've got my hands on it today for a test drive. Now, it's a lot of firsts for Mahindra & Mahindra, a monocoque, a lot of new technology. So I'm trying to get my hands behind the wheel. But whilst I get in, you take a look at the car because I think the styling is really sexy. The XUV has a very aggressive look about it. Front has the typical M&M grille, but that's just a small portion that sits atop a very large bumper with cuts flowing out like a cat's whiskers. The headlights have two eyeball-like lamps underlined by the dots of the daytime running LED lights. Now when you look at the front, you begin to realize what the teaser campaign with the cheetah was all about. The side profile is less animal. With its three almost equal glass areas, it makes it a little more MUV than SUV. But then, there are the really large, bulging circular portions above the wheel arches that are there to remind you that this is all muscle. They land up making the 235/65 R17 tires look a little puny. The waistline has a crease that runs from the front to the rear, broken by a circular crease over the rear wheel arch. The rear of the car has a smallish glass area and small bumper with a large tailgate area. The highlight here is the tail light with the horizontal ridges dividing it into four sections. It also has a kink that runs over to the side, and there are little motifs imprinted into all the white areas. It's sort of a mixed reaction when you look at the XUV. You sometimes feel that there's too much styling and maybe less could be more, but when you see the overall picture, it definitely makes you turn around and give it a second look. So there's a lot of funky stuff on the interior of the XUV 500 as well, like this conversation mirror that I'm talking to you in. You're looking out of the eyes of the front passenger, and I'm sitting at the rear and having a conversation with you. So the front passenger really doesn't have to crane his neck around to the back every time he wants to talk to someone at the rear. Or then you can keep an eye on your kids if they're messing around at the back. You know what's really nice as well is the good solid feel with which these doors close. Nice chunk. Really feels solid, feels very good. Now on the inside, it's not quite as global as we expected, and the interiors are really a mixed bag with some very nice bits and some bits that disappoint. Let's begin with those that I didn't like. The car we had was the one with the black and brown interior, and there's so many bits of black and brown that it all felt a bit too much. Also, the black area on the dash and the top of the doors with its soft touch textured look is much richer in appearance than the brown, making a glaring contrast between the two. The central console follows a waterfall design with a wooden finish in the center, edged by two chrome plastic strips. These strips cause a reflection into the windscreen that stands up right to the top and is quite disturbing to the driver. The plastic on the buttons on the central console, again, another flat matte brown plastic that lands up looking a little cheap. Overall, it's too many textures and finishes for me. That aside, there are a lot of nice bits on the inside as well, like the floating binnacle, very Xylo-like, that houses two smart dials, circle within circle, surrounded by nice chrome rings. There's a touchscreen multimedia display which comes with the higher end, and the rotary dials for the audio and AC that are very nice quality. For the high end, you also get the satellite navigation, and you can add on a video function. The music system has aux and USB connectivity too. The AC vents are another very nicely designed feature, allowing good airflow, and again, the rotary vent adjusters here are extremely good quality. There is storage just about everywhere on the inside, and you'll never lack for place to keep stuff. There's two glove box areas, there's nets near the feet for the front passengers, there's door pockets with bottle and umbrella holders, central storages, and even places for the third row to store stuff. The only place space is lacking is in the boot. With 7 seats up, there's literally no space. But you always have the option of folding down the seats to accommodate luggage. At the other end, under the hood, is the M-Hawk engine, which has been upped in power and now has 140 bhp with 33.33 kgm of torque.
Now the M-Hawk engine is an engine that we've always really liked, and it feels extremely nice in the XUV 500. This is light because of its monocoque construction, and of course the power has been upped. It's extremely drivable. I've dropped down to 1000 RPM in third gear. I can still put my foot down and it moves on. There's a hint of lag just below 1500 RPM, and then you hear the turbo whistle and it kicks in. Thereafter it pulls cleanly to the red line. The top end of this engine is also extremely nice. 130, 140, it's just effortless.
It's a very refined engine, and when you're cruising, you don't hear it at all. It's only when you rev hard do you hear it, and that's much more the turbo whistle than a clatter. This engine is really comfortable in city traffic or on the highway. There's a tall third gear and you hit almost 140 in it. It just pulls and pulls all the way to the red line. It's a pretty enjoyable engine and you never lack for power. This engine is mated to a 6-speed gearbox, which requires a little more effort to use than we would like. The second gear in particular feels notchy and is a little too far back when you shift. Well, that's about performance. For those of you worried about economy, there's a stop-start feature which can be activated by a button on the central console. And M&M claim that this vehicle has an average of 15.1 kilometers per litre. One of our gripes always with the M&M vehicles was the way that they would handle and the ride quality. But with the new monocoque construction, this has changed quite drastically.
This car feels extremely stable even at high speeds, and when you want to do a little bit of harder cornering, the steering gives you quite a lot of feedback, the body control is quite good, and you don't ever feel unsafe throwing this car around.
If at all, I felt that the tyres didn't offer up enough grip. Better tyres would have allowed me even more leeway. The steering too is not entirely consistent around corners, but that's when you're cornering really hard. In normal conditions, it's adequately responsive and still light and easy for city traffic. I couldn't tell much about ride quality being on a test track, but the back seat definitely left me impressed.
It's like a football field at the back over here. Look how much space I have. Ashley's 5'6", I'm 5'4". And look at the amount of leg room over here. I mean, I can actually fit another person between me and the front seat over here. Even the third passenger is going to be as comfortable because the central console doesn't come as far back as it does in other cars. The floorboard is actually flat, so the third passenger has as much leg room pretty much as I do. Plus there is width, so 3 abreast will be very comfortable in the back seat of this car.
The third row is as good as the likes of the Innova as far as space is concerned. But there are additional nice touches like the AC vents and a fan blower control, plus storage spaces. The seats themselves, third row or middle row, are comfortable and long journeys will be quite easy.
Low speed ride is pretty good. This dismisses all the bumps, potholes. You don't feel anything sharp filtering through, and it's quite silent as well. This car is really well insulated, so here in the back seat you feel pretty cut out from the outside world. No tire noise, no wind noise, no sounds from the outside really filtering in. I don't know about traffic noise because I don't have too much of it around, but it feels really well insulated.
It was too short a stint to get a good perspective on ride, so I'll have to tell you more when we do a more detailed test. But I can safely say it's still a comfortable place to be. Now the XUV may not have the stance of the Endeavour of the Fortuner and its likes. But though it's compact in its exterior dimensions, the kind of space it offers on the inside is really incredible. And if you're not into true blue off-roading, the all-wheel drive option is good enough, and it comes with the differential lock which allows you to stay in four-wheel drive permanently too if you like. So if you're looking for an SUV and you think that the Fortuner and the Endeavour are too big and bulky and maybe out of reach, and on the other side you don't want an MUV, well, the XUV 500 is just the answer.
So India's first homegrown global SUV, and I've enjoyed my stint out with it. Now, there's something I didn't find quite global with it just yet. It's the interiors, and I'm not talking about styling because that's really nice. I'm talking more about quality. Just doesn't feel up to the mark yet. But in saying that, it's still a huge leap forward for anything we've seen from M&M before. And of course, this SUV just has so much more going for it. Everything from the styling, the way it looks, it's comfortable, it's spacious, it's got an engine that's really going to put a smile on your face when you drive it. It handles nicely, it's got good ride quality. It sort of ticks off all the boxes.
But the icing on the cake is really the pricing. It's amazing value for what you get.
Would I go out and buy an XUV 500? Most definitely.